Hi there. So I just wanted to come on and provide, hopefully, what will be a quick video tutorial on how to use Google Meets and Zoom to have video conferencing with students or coworkers or friends who you can't see now. If you've never done it, the first time you do it, you're very nervous, and that's understandable. But once you try out a couple features and you get confident very quickly, and I think we will be using this so much more that you'll get comfortable really quickly. So I am actually I'm recording this session and I am going to start a meeting within my meeting just to show you how you get going. All right. So I am going to, and I'll show you this when I get into the new meeting. I'm going to hit present, and that actually allows your audience to see what you are seeing on the screen. So, particularly when I'm working with students and I want to pull up some questions, or I want to, draw something on Google Drawings, I can pull up my screen and show them. So, hopefully that's Zoom. I don't want to go there just yet. Okay. So, I want to show you how to get to the Google Meet, and please bear with me because Google in general, obviously, because the sheer volume of people on this all at once now is operating slowly, and that's understandable. Okay, so if you scroll down from your G Suite, you will see this little icon which says Meet, and you will click on that, and that will bring you to a very basic screen, actually. And that's what's nice about these is that, particularly Google Meets, I will say there's not a whole lot of buttons, so it is kind of hard to screw it up, to be honest with you. So don't worry about testing it out, and you can always test it out with me. You can test it out with uh, another coworker or family member. If you have older kids in your household, chances are they'll be able to show you one, two, three, how it works. Okay. So I'm going to hit join or start a meeting if I, in fact, am the one that is initiating the meeting. All right. So you can name this whatever you want. So I'm just going to call this one testing one, two, three. And okay. There we go. Okay. As you can see, there's definitely a lag time. So bear with me. Okay. So testing one, two, three. And then I'm going to hit continue. And it will be loading in a moment. And it says, as you can see, it says getting ready. You'll be able to join in just a minute. Okay. And I'll tell you when the camera's starting. So you're not 100% surprised when you see yourself on screen. Okay. So ready to join. It says looking for others in the call. No one else is here because you just started this meeting. Okay. So you're just going to hit join now. And then it will bring you in, and then you can invite others. So like I said, it's going to take a minute for your camera to readjust, and hopefully the full screen of me will pop up in a minute. I have had some students where the camera feature is not working for them. And again, I think it just has to do, because sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I think it really has to do with the sheer volume. So here is where you have a couple of options and how you want to invite people or add people to the meeting. Okay, so you can copy joining info, which is going to copy everything you see right here. Okay, now where this might get confusing for students is that it includes the dial in, and they're not going to be dialing in. I mean, chances are they're not going to be dialing in. I guess they could, but particularly I teach fifth grade. We're really just sending them the link. So you can either just copy this, or you can come up here, okay, to your bar, and you can copy it right from there. Okay. The other way you can do this is you can click Add People. So if you want to invite specific people, whether it's 1 or 5 or 10, it doesn't honestly matter. You will be able to invite them via email. They will be sent an invitation with a link. They can hit accept, and then they can just click on the link and join you in this. Okay. Oh, what I want to say about the code was I usually will take this code, and if I'm meeting with individual students, I'll just email them this code, or I will post it. If I'm meeting with a couple students, I'll post it in Google Classroom. So that's another way you could do it. I was playing around with this before. This is taking a long time to load, so I'm not going to waste more time waiting for it to pop up. But like I said, you will. It says enter a name or email, and usually it says suggestions, so it'll pull up a list of people that you know, or that in your network. For instance, for me in Hazlet, it's it'll bring up a bunch of Hazlet emails, and then I can. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so this is my principal. This is our school counselor. So if I want to invite them, I can either click on their name or I can type and look for somebody else's name. Okay. So that's how you can add people that way. Okay. So a couple of features to go through. And like I said, there's really not that many, which is the nice thing. Okay. This is your camera. So you can click that to mute it. When it's red with the line through it, that means I'm sorry, this is your microphone. Your microphone's not on. Okay. When that happens, if you want your camera to be off, like I said, particularly if you're waiting for people to join, you can click this. Now I am clicking it, like I said, so it's a little delayed, but then there we go. So then your camera will be off. And then when people join, usually a little notification will pop up in this window and it'll say, Mr. Collis wants to join, Miss Walsh wants to join, Mrs. Chris wants to join, or whoever it is. And then you just hit admit, and that will admit them into the meet. Okay. And then, like I said, then I'll turn on my camera, I'll turn on my mic. You're still hearing this because, I'm basically setting up a meeting within a meeting. um, but I keep this off, especially when I'm uh, getting ready to meet with students, because God only knows what I'm yelling around here at any given point in time. I could be yelling at the dog. We don't know. So nobody needs to be subjected to that, other than the people that live here. Okay. So this will show you how many people are in your meeting up here. And obviously it's just me at this point. So this is a chat feature. So I did have a Google Meet the other day, and it was the strangest thing. And I didn't mute any of the students, but they could all hear me. I could not hear them. So it was just a glitch. So I said to them, chat in here if you hear me, and they were chatting yes and shaking their heads. So I knew that they heard me. So this is just a chat feature if people want to ask questions, because you can mute people. You can just, if you click on their picture, they usually come up in the sidebar. You could, because the other thing, and I need more people in this meeting to show you, but you can pin yourself. So what I find happens with Google Meets is if there's a bunch of people trying to talk at the same time, whatever microphone it recognizes first, those people come flashing on the screen. And sometimes that's very overwhelming. So there's this little, if you hover over your picture, there's like this little pin, and you can pin yourself or somebody else onto the screen. So that's all you see. And you can still hear the people on the side, but you can't see them. So if you want them, let's say you have a group of 6 students, if you want them to speak one at a time, you can pin them on the screen, and then they get to speak. The kind of the floor is theirs. Okay. And that's just a way to regulate it. And you can also mute individuals as well. So if the noise volume is getting too much, that's how you can control that. Okay. So that's the chat feature. And then if I just click on that, I think it will um, go away and go to the side. Okay. Um, if I click down at the very bottom of the screen here, you'll see some of the other features. So I already went over these. Turn on captions. If you obviously have somebody that needs to read captions, you can click that. And present now is going to be a big feature. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm presenting. And if I click on this, again, there's only 2 options. It's your entire screen, or it's a window. And what I believe, your entire screen shows what you're looking at, but it also shows you in the corner. Whereas I believe a window is literally like it's opening up. Um, an entire window. So I believe if I did this correctly, you are not seeing me, you're hearing me, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Because it's always weird when you're giving the presentation and then you're in the presentation at the same time. So, but these are your two present features, and a little window will pop up to say you are presenting now. So I'll even attempt this just to show you what it looks like. So now I'm presenting within a presentation within a presentation. I'm not going to click on this because this is just getting more bizarre and I'm going to end up losing my place. But you can click on this and hit share. It will notify you that you're in presentation mode. So just be aware that anything that you pull up on your screen, your audience, who's ever in the meeting, is going to see. But that is huge because I pulled up our math online program this week and I was going over some examples with students, because I could see exactly what they did. So it was great as a discussion piece. Okay. You can also go over here to these three little dots, and this is what I'm doing now. You're recording the meeting. So if you're doing a tutorial and you want to save it, obviously, and have it accessible to anybody, whether again it's colleagues, students, you hit record meeting, and then when you're done, you just hit end or stop, and it will save it, and then it sends a copy. It automatically saves a copy to your Google Drive, which is nice. And then it'll notify you in your Gmail that it saved a copy. And then what's great is then you can use that and upload it to YouTube, which is usually the best way to disseminate any of these videos, and kind of makes me a YouTube star. I mean, this isn't really the way I envisioned I'd be a YouTube star, but hey. um Nonetheless, my kids are convinced they're going to be YouTube stars and make a lot of money. So, um, we'll see. But these are just some other options too. That you can do. I haven't played around, to be honest with you, with too many of these. But so that is one way that you can start a meeting. It's probably the easiest way is just to start it, send the code to whoever you want in the meeting, and call it a day. Okay. But if you want to get a little fancier, and actually, I am trying this with my students, to be quite honest, they're at an age where, and they are getting the hang of it, where they are capable of doing this, is you can go into your calendar and preset a meeting. Okay. So I'm going to go back here and to my Google Apps, and I'm going to go to calendar. And this is my Hazlet calendar. So I see all the events, well, that were coming up. We'll see. They're canceled for the meantime. But once your calendar loads, you can go in and easily set up a meeting. So set it up in advance, and you can invite people to a Google Meet that way. So let me show you that. So I'm going to click over to tomorrow. This was supposed to be our spring dance, unfortunately. But if I want to, let's say I schedule a meeting with someone at 11 a.m. Okay, I'm going to click on 11 a.m., just kind of double click. Okay, here's your date, title of the meeting, uh, you know, um, math session with Mrs. Thal, or actually well, I'm putting that because the person who's seeing it is, and then I might just put like, some initials. That's one of my students' initials. Put those initials in parentheses so I remember who it is. And then you click the time. So let's say you don't need it from 11 to 12. These are kids, but so let's say you're only going to meet for 15 minutes. You can put 11 to 11:15, and then you can put the time zone. So this is automatically defaulting to New York time, and you don't need it to repeat. And so this is where you can add conferencing. Okay. So you add conferencing, you hit Hangouts Meet, and here is where you can add your guests. So it's already giving you a pre-assigned code for this meeting. Okay. So then I add guests, and I don't know if I can invite myself, but if I could invite myself, I would, just to show you how it pops up. It'll still pop up because I set it up. Okay. So this is where you can add guests, and then I'm going to hit save. even though I haven't invited any guests. Okay. And then it pops up on my calendar. Okay. So when I go to, it'll notify me via either text or um, email that my meeting is coming. And then I can go right before the meeting, hit join Hangouts Meet, and this will bring me right to the meeting. Okay. So I am trying to get the students a little bit used to this, to checking their email and looking what might be scheduled, because honestly, it's a good skill for them to have. I mean, I know they're a little ways away from getting out into the business world, but it's still a good skill for them to have. Okay. So that's another way to invite students. If you need to edit the meeting, if you need to change the date, change the time, you can do this. If you have to cancel it, you delete the event. And then this is, again, emailing guests. And that is, and then here's the notification 10 minutes before, and you can choose how you want to be notified, whether it's email or a text on your phone, just to remind you. Okay, so that's really all there is to Google Meets. And like I said, once you do one, you learn pretty quickly how to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to schedule a meet with Zoom. So Zoom is another big virtual conferencing scheduling tool that I've used for other things. And now I'm going to be trying, kind of rotating back and forth between this and Google Meets to schedule things with students. But again, you can sign in with your Google account. They are really being very generous, especially for teachers that as you can see up here, it says important notice, oops, that they've removed the 40-minute time limit for schools affected by coronavirus. So normally I think everybody gets a free basic account, and they're lifting that. So 40 minutes was the time limit. But now they're lifting that, which is nice. And, so many platforms are doing so many amazing things for educators and really for everybody to try to make this time a little bit easier. So here, this is the screen that pops up. This is the screen that pops up for me. Okay. You can get additional training here, and you can schedule a new meeting. So I'm scheduling a meeting, and again, I'm going to change the topic. Oops. To math session with Mrs. Thal. And if you need a description, you can, and you put the date. So let me just put this for tomorrow so that there we go. And let me change the time to be 2:00 or whatever you want, how long you want it. So again, it kind of defaults to an hour. Most of them default to an hour, but let's say you're just making it for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. Time zone. So now here, this is interesting. This is defaulting to the Pacific time zone, and you want to find Eastern. Hang on. Eastern time. Here we go. Eastern time. Recurring meeting. No. Do they need a meeting password? Definitely not for this. Video. We want video on. Okay. This isn't necessarily a call. This is a video call. Participants can be on. Audio. I guess you can put both. I just put computer audio because I don't have anybody calling in, but you could have people call in. And then meeting options, enable to join before the host. So in other words, if you're not in the meeting yet and other people get there, let's say 5 minutes early, you can allow them in. Mute participants upon entry. So if they can come into the room, but their mics are muted. So you can play around with these. This is really a matter half the time of personal preference. Okay. I don't usually, for students, I'm the one allowing them into the room just because I feel like if they get in the room and they're a couple minutes early and I happen to be held up, they're going to leave the room and say, "Oh, I was in the room and you weren't there." So I kind of wait and let them in when I'm there, which most of the Zoom meetings I've ever been invited to, that's how it's worked too. Okay. So then I'm going to hit save. And that will ask me if I want to save it to any of my calendars. So this is nice because the same thing I just showed you before with the Google Meet and how you could invite someone via your calendar, you can attach this to your Google Calendar too, and you can invite people via email the same way. So that's what I also like about this, and yet it has a link. Okay, so I'll show you when this comes up in the calendar, um, where you will be able to just click on the link, and it really makes it pretty straightforward. So let's say, okay, so I'm going to pick my school email. I think I have one too many email accounts here. I hit allow, and here we go. So it brings me right to my school calendar as soon as it loads. And so we see an exact replica basically of what I just showed you before in Google Meets. Okay. The only difference is, so here's the location. The location is in Zoom. You don't want to add conferencing. Okay. You do not need this. You do not need this because you already have the Zoom conference. Okay. So I'm not going to add conferencing. Okay. You can still add the guests the way we saw that. If you have a Google Chat room, you can search for a room, but I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to confuse people. It already says the time. It's in the New York time zone. So we are good to go, and I'll hit save. And, then when I go into my Google Calendar, there it will be. So this was for tomorrow that I set this up for 2 o'clock. So there it is. Math session with Mrs. Thal, 2 p.m. And when I click on that, so here's the thing. Again, you see this pop-up window, but now here's the Zoom meeting link. Okay. And so at the scheduled time, that will bring whoever you invited, if they click on that link, to the Zoom meeting. Okay. So there are many options. They do make it relatively easy. I mean, I've been doing Zoom meetings for a few years, and I will say it's gotten easier. They've made the format of it much easier, and the interface much easier. Like I said, the only thing that you're going to encounter is that some of this is moving slower. And so here now I'm going to get out of present mode here. I'm going to put stop presenting. So everything is operating slower. And I've had some students that have clicked a link and gotten in. I've had students who have clicked links and not gotten in. Like I said, sometimes the camera's been off, sometimes the audio's been off. So you just have to kind of bear with that because that's not normal. It's just, I think honestly, it's the sheer volume of people that are using that these days. So those are my suggestions. And I do suggest everybody try one and see how it goes, but it is a little addictive. You do learn to really adjust quickly and like it. And I'm sure there's plenty of other formats. In fact, I know there's plenty of other formats out there for conferencing, but those are the two I'm most familiar with. So if you have any questions about those, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you for watching me. And I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. And now I'll hit my stop recording button, and I'll wait for this to upload and get an email about it. And then I'll upload it to YouTube and share the link. So thank you for bearing with me. And I hope this was helpful.